The other thing, I don't know, I guess you guys are doing VoiceThread too, yes, Jose?
Yeah, that's one of the other tools that
Yeah,
as at our disposal, or another our
yeah,
toolkit. But there are overlapping features in both. Um, so I really, when I sit down with faculty, I really try to pinpoint exactly what it is that they want to do before suggesting. I think voice is more specific to maybe a language course, or um, something that, or maybe speaking over slides, whereas
yeah,
Padlet is a little bit more for collaborative work, that kind
yeah.
of thing.
Yeah,
Um,
I mean, I like Padlet because I use it for a couple of things. Like Karen, I use it as an icebreaker, and I sort of populate it with my students' names first. Um, but then I use it for some collaborative work during the course of the semester. So I teach in the fashion business program, so it's mostly business related stuff. Sometimes we're talking about product, sometimes we're talking about color, and how companies evaluate and interpret color for the product that they're selling. So, I'll put some stuff out there, and then students will kind of chime in asynchronously, and they like the back and forth of it. It feels more organic than a structured lecture would. They can add additional information, and they can either comment on somebody else's post, or they can start a new comment stream. Um, and I've used a couple of different formats for my Padlets. So I've used some sort of more free form formats. I've used sort of the linear columns. Sometimes I create a timeline. I use the timeline function. And sometimes if the student is doing an independent Padlet, so we do some collaborative work, but then we also, I set up a Padlet for a project that they work on throughout the whole semester, which is independent, and I can grade it, although it's not integrated into Blackboard. But for that one, I really encourage them to customize it, to make it their own, to add their own background, to change the font type, and really explore all the different medium that they can incorporate into Padlet, whether it's PDF files or digital images, video content, whatever. Really, it's limitless in terms of what they can add. So sometimes I'll have them do provide an example. Here's something I'm sharing with you. Go out there on the web and find something that's related, and post it, and then talk about it. So I use it for that as well. So, and Karen, I
I
mean,
have
you
a
totally separate product. Your product. So it's kind of interesting. I mean, I always like to hear how other people in other areas use the tool.
So, Naomi, I'm curious, in your online class, do you use discussion boards at all, or do you feel like Padlet kind of takes the place of it?
I do use discussion forums because I use both, actually. There are some times when I'll use a Padlet. There are other times when I will use the discussion. I'll use the formal discussion forum in my online course when I want them to post what they want to share first without seeing what everybody else is going to share. I really, that drives me crazy. But there are times where I'll have all the students watch a webinar and then sort of weigh in on different aspects of it, and they have to sort of choose a content stream, and they love that. So I usually do half and half, so that it sort of breaks it up and mixes it up a little bit.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
I had a question for Naomi. For me, when I see Padlet, I just see it so like an open world that you can go so many different directions. From a professor's point of view, when you come in thinking of an assignment that, you say, well, this might be a perfect assignment to use as a Padlet. What's the mindset? How do you how do you approach it? Because I think that a lot of faculty get stuck at that point, and especially new professors who haven't used it before, and they're trying to figure out how can I make this a Padlet assignment, because there's so many different ways that you can go with a Padlet. It's just so flexible, and that can really change the way that the assignment was originally designed for. So it's kind of tricky.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you have a copy of one of my Padlets, Jose. I think I sent you a link to it. But I'm happy to share a Padlet that I have opened, if I can do that.
Sure.
Share. Yeah, I can share my application. No problem. Let me pull up my blank one, basically. So I'm showing you my whole screen, so let me know when you can see it.
Yeah, we can see your screen.
Okay, so basically, and I see Phyllis is on the call. Hi, Phyllis.
Good morning.
Hi.
Sorry, I had computer trouble. Oh.
No problem. No problem. So I teach a course that's new. We just are launching this course. It's based on an old course, and there used to be in the course, the way I taught it, the old course, I put together this case study for the semester to sort of give the students more of a real world experience instead of looking at individual formulas that they might be applying in the fashion industry. So initially, the way I had this set up was students would submit a journal every week in a Google Doc where they provided information, maybe they described something that they learned about the company or the product that they were monitoring. They talked about the calculations they were using. So it was very disjointed. And when Jose first told me about Padlet, I thought, ooh, this could be a really great way to sort of integrate this whole series of documents that the students were submitting to me and make it much more entertaining for the students and engage them more in really the full-blown experience of what they might be doing if they were working in the industry. So really what I just did, and I worked on this a little bit with Jose, was I took that whole project, which was, you know, unit by unit, and I put it all together, and then I pulled it back apart and I reorganized it in a way that I've sort of fine-tuned over the last couple of semesters. So as an example, in this particular course, the students you know, have to choose a company, so they could choose Uniqlo or the Gap or Madewell or lots of different companies they can choose from. The first thing they need to do is they need to do a little company research. So they go out on the web, they pull the link to the who we are, they pull the link for sustainability. If they have a diversity and inclusion strategy, that goes in here in this first column. Same thing with a career page. And then they have to talk a little bit about it, you know, in the commentary. So I love this. And then once they post, you know, if they actually pull all of the links that they need, I would give them 100% when I grade this. And in my Gradebook, I have it set up as complete or incomplete instead of actually assigning a grade to it, because they either did it or they didn't do it. Mm-hmm. So that's one piece of this. The second piece of this is we're going into fall, and I gave them the Pantone color palette for autumn winter 21-22. They have to go to the company's website, find a product that meets some of the criteria within this color palette. Has to be something that has a little bit of, you know, kind of clear-ish longevity to it, because they're going to be monitoring how the prices change over the course of at least 10 weeks, if not more. So underneath here, they're going to, or above this, they're going to add screenshots of the product in some of these colors. They may add some of the color chips from the website. they'll compare and contrast, you know, this is the color that Pantone's calling it, this is the color that Uniqlo's calling it. They're going to pull up information, again, from the web, product details, the textile, you know, fabrication, care. They're going to, over the course of the semester, they're going to be monitoring what's being published about the company, whether it's in Women's Wear Daily or in some other trade publication. They're going to pull up reviews of the product as the semester rolls out, and then they're going to go into the website every single week to look at how the product is being priced. And that's going to tie directly into some of the math they're going to be doing. Most of the rest of the content in here, so this stuff, some of this stuff they're going to be doing every week and just adding more content. And then as the semester goes on, there's an Excel workbook that goes hand in hand with the case study, and they're going to be completing the work in Excel, the math problems that pertain to their product. They're not going to submit screenshots of it here until they've made any necessary corrections. But once they do, they're going to put up a screenshot. They're going to do a screen grab, post it, I'll grade it, and so it'll give them an opportunity to fix it and to get some additional feedback. And then at the very end of the semester, what they're going to do is they're going to attach the Excel workbook that's complete and corrected, so that they can take this with them into the class that comes after this one, which is a capstone for our associate degree program. And you know, they have access to this. They can link it to their LinkedIn profile. They can make a shareable link, and they can make a hyperlink in their resume. And some of them have gotten jobs from doing that. So, you know, once I've linked this to the course, each student, as soon as they click on the link, it becomes their own, so they won't see other students' work. And I encourage them to customize it, you know, change the background color, and, you know, put a little, you know, thumbnail, maybe of the product that they're monitoring for the semester. And, you know, they seem to have fun with this, and I personally enjoy watching how they sort of update and make it their own over time. And you know, it's kind of nice, and they've already had experience with Padlet from their introductions. That's collaborative. That's not a graded item, and yeah. So you know, this is what I do in this particular course.
You know, is this for one student, or are all your students using this Padlet?
This is, so the way it appears in my course, let me show you what my course looks like here. Let me just get out of here for a second. So the way my course looks is, take you into my course, entire screen.
As Naomi is looking for her course, I just want to say that you know, I've been seeing Padlets as we've been using it from the beginning and evolving. And when I saw Naomi's and how she's using it, I think this is like the epitome, like at the next level of, okay, just using Padlet just for icebreakers or discussion or this. But when I saw when Naomi showed me this, it blew me away as to how complex and how well designed and scaffolded it was. It blew me away. So I just want to give kudos to Naomi and being able to put this semester-long project as one Padlet. I think it was extraordinary work, and I think credit I give. I'm just in awe as how well designed this was.
Well, I can't wait to steal everything she's done.
So a couple of things. One is the way I set this up. If a student in my class clicks on this link, which will take you to what I just showed you, it's going to launch their version of this template. They're not going to. Every student is going to have access to the same template, but it's going to redirect the template specifically for that individual student.
How did you do that? I'm trying to wrap my brain around what you just said.
Sure, it's actually pretty easy.
Naomi, that was the template that you just showed, the blank template?
Yeah,
Right, and I would like to know, how do you link it to your course? That's what I'm here for.
Absolutely. It's really easy.
I've heard the rest, so I just need
Yeah,
to know how to link
it's really easy. So basically what you do is, you, just going to go to edit this. So you need to have your Padlet opened. And so this is a different Padlet that I have. So this is one that's a completed copy of, this is what the students work on throughout the whole semester. But what you would do is you would go, and actually I don't want to do this in this particular course. Let me just pull a different course up.
What do you mean, Naomi, what do you mean students work on throughout the semester? Don't they work on the template and create
They
their
do.
own? Okay.
Yeah, they do. So let me just go back in here. I think I must have timed out of my Blackboard.
And I'm teaching both the courses Naomi mentioned.
I know.
I'm thrilled. No, I'm thrilled because one will get them ready for the next, makes everything better. But I'm just concerned this semester because it's all so new for, and our, it's between Naomi and I, sorry everybody, our one-year students that I know as much as I can to help them. That's really important, a lot at first.
So let me just say that the first thing I do in all of my classes now, whether they're remote, whether they're face-to-face, online, I always start with just introductions. And this is a collaborative document. So everybody has access to it. Everybody can weigh in. It's not graded. And I hope you cut that out, Jose, please, because it's got students' names in it. But if I go into my case study, all I need to do is I have to have my case study open. So here's the template. And what I need to do is I need to click on the sharing option, which you see at the very top here once you've sort of built the framework. So in the sharing option, there are a couple of things. The first thing that I often forget to do, whether it's a collaborative Padlet or individual, is sometimes I forget to change the privacy function. So sometimes when I have a group Padlet, my students will email me to say, I can't put anything in. And automatically I know, I forgot to change the privacy function so the students can all write to it. So that's the first thing that you need to make sure that you've done. You need to not make it secret or make it private. You actually need to make sure that they can write to it. And
so can I so when it's the intro, you want them to be able to see each other's and interact. So you want to make that not private. When it's the case study, would you want to make it private so they only see theirs?
It automatically does based on the way you format this stuff. So if I wanted to make this something that all students get their own version of, I'm going to add it to my LMS. So that's the first thing you need to do. And here it says everyone works on their own Padlet.
Where does it say?
Once you go into where it says add to your LMS as an external tool, and then you're going to choose the option everybody works on this Padlet.
So that's before you open the case study and start all this?
That's before you embed it into your course,
Add to LMS, and what do we check? Say it again, Naomi, I'm sorry.
Everyone works on their own Padlet. Can you guys see my screen?
We don't see that.
You don't?
I can see it. I can see it. I can see. Yeah, everyone works on.
I don't see
Okay,
it.
that's weird. So
I
there should be a
can see
slide.
it. I can see it.
Okay.
It's probably me. Sorry. Let me.
So as a default, I think it's normally everybody works together as on this Padlet. So that's collaborative. But if you want them each to have their own version, their private version, you would click on this other option. Everybody works on their own. Right?
Yeah, but what happens when you do that? What happens? How does that work when you do that?
Oh, I see it. Sorry.
Yeah, so basically what happens is if everybody works on one Padlet, everybody is logging into the same instance of the Padlet that you built. And that's what I do for my introductions. They're all in there. They can all collaborate. That's what I do when I build a collaborative Padlet. It's great. And they all see, and it's all in real time, so that as soon as somebody posts something, they see it. They don't have to worry about saving stuff. It automatically saves everything.
Right.
If you want to make this an individual assignment where everybody's starting with the same Padlet, the same template, you would choose everybody works on their own. And the way it functions is you build the template, but as soon as a student logs on it, if they've been in Padlet before, Padlet will recognize their FIT email address. And it will automatically link that instance of Padlet, that copy, basically, to their email address. If they've never logged into Padlet before, and this is true for faculty, it's going to ask them and you to authenticate first, like you might do in LinkedIn Learning, and put in your FIT credentials, and then it will take you into your Padlet.
Right.
Okay?
Well, let's get this straight. So they get an email link in their email at FIT, and when they click on
No, actually, no. It happens immediately.
In
So what
Blackboard.
happens is, yeah, if you've never used Padlet before, and there's a link to Padlet right here on every single web page in Blackboard, because I've been using Padlet, it's always going to take me directly into Padlet. But if you've never used Padlet before, and you clicked on, the case study link, what'll happen is it doesn't recognize you yet. It needs to authenticate that you, in fact, are allowed, you have permission to access the robust version of Padlet that FIT's given us access to. So the first time yeah.
It's a third-party tool that we can use right within the LMS, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
So let me get this straight. So okay,
Yeah.
so I got that now. So when you're in your page right now, I'm a student, and I clicked on the case study for template, and I clicked on that, and then it says my name, and I see an individual Padlet is for myself. Is that correct?
That's right.
So is it still called case study template and Padlet, or does it kind of create a new Padlet and a new Padlet link within your Blackboard?
No, it's got the template name. So the students, I tell my students, put your whole name in front of this. But you can see that right up above it, it has my name. It shows my name. It's going to show their names. So right up here.
Is there a different link now for their case study Padlet now in their Blackboard?
They still can go in through that Blackboard link. They sometimes will email themselves the link. I mean, it depends. It's whatever they choose. But they can continue to go in directly through there.
So I get it. So they just go to their own Padlet and they see it in their own Padlet. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. What's happening here, Tom, is that what Padlet is doing is that when Naomi's students are clicking on that link to that Padlet, what Padlet is doing for you, it's making a copy of the original master that Naomi created. It's making a copy of that and automatically assigning that copy to that specific student for you. It's doing all that work for you. You don't have to make a copy and assign it to all your students. Padlet is doing all that for you.
Yeah, I got that. I have that. But I just want to know. So I just want to know how do they access that. So it's embedded in their own Padlet now. They don't have to find it through Blackboard.
No. I mean, they can go directly up here to the Padlet link, and it'll take them to any and all Padlets that they've built. So if I
understand now. I understand.
Right. Right. So if they have Padlets for a number of courses that they're taking, for me, if I'm teaching a bunch of courses, I'm teaching 4 courses in the fall. If I click on this link to go into my Padlets in general, it's going to show me all the Padlets. And I would show you this, but it shows too many of my students' names. But what I like about the Padlet, sort of the master homepage, is you can also create folders, and you can put your student, you can create folders for each course you're teaching or each section, and you can move copies of those Padlets into each one of those folders, which is what I love to do.
So it doesn't organize by course. You have to organize yourself with your students' work that shows up there, is what you're saying?
Yeah. I mean, if you name your Padlet, for me, for instance, FM 203 section 202, and I ask them to leave that there, then it will organize it. If I ask it to sort, you can have it sort your Padlets.
Right. Okay.
So you can
because
do that.
Students are not good at naming things, I find.
Right.
Sorry.
So
No, and I'm teaching 2 sections, so I want it to be able to.
Right. So if I go here and I go to create a file, I believe is what it is. Just double check. No. Let me try that one more time. It's create an item. And if I do that, if I'm correct here, am I totally nuts? Yes.
You mean for the Padlet, Naomi?
Yeah.
A web link, web link.
Thank you. Okay, sorry. I only did this like 4 times yesterday. Okay, so if you do that, the first thing you do is you create a name for it, of course. So I'm just going to put this test Padlet.
And this is the name for the whole
template, or your introduction. So you can see I have the introduction Padlet here. That's what I named it. And then you're going to click on this. This is a link to a tool provider, so I click on that. And then I'm going to go back to my case study, and I'm going to first take my URL. So I'm going to copy that. And I'm going to paste that right here in the URL field. Okay.
What's that URL from? I think I missed that.
That URL is, let me just make this a little bit smaller, and I can put these 2 things side by side. It'll be easier to see.
Oh, no smaller.
Oh, sorry. No, I'm not going to make it smaller. I'm just going to move it. And here we go.
I can't get close enough to read it.
Okay, so let me just truncate this stuff a little bit, and hopefully this will work. Nope, it's not letting me do that. Okay, never mind, I tried. You can see all my ScreencastOMatic stuff. So, yeah, so if I go into share, let's see if this is, it needs to be bigger, sorry. I was hopeful. Okay, so this sort of works. Okay, so you can see that if I go into the add the LMS to my external tool, everybody works on their own. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pull this URL first. This is the tool URL, and I'm going to copy that, and I'm going to paste that here in this URL field.
Where did that come from?
It's generated from Padlet.
Can you show her, Naomi, the clicks to get to that point?
Sure, absolutely. So if I go to the share panel, I go to the add to your LMS as an external tool. I choose everybody works on their own, and just below it, it says enter the following information in your LMS. So here's the secure launch tool URL. And it always starts with Padlet.com API. That's the attachment. The what is that called, Jose?
The handshake, the integration between Blackboard.
The integration, right? And I'm going to copy that, and that's what goes in the field right under the name.
Yeah. Did that come from opening up Padlet in Blackboard in?
No. No,
okay,
all of
where did it come? What do you have?
This panel comes from Padlet itself. So once you know which Padlet you want to integrate, the first thing you need to do is click on this share link at the very top on the right.
That's what I was missing. Thank you.
Yeah. So you click on the share link.
Got it. Thank you.
And then you click on the Add to your LMS. That brings up this panel. Everyone has their own. And then just below that, you see a series of links that you can copy. We don't use them all, but we do use some of them.
Got it.
We use the one that launches the Padlet. That's the first one. And that's that API, as Jose said, that's the handshake, that third-party connection between Blackboard and Padlet. So I copy that one. I put it in the URL field. And then I go down here. You can see it says consumer key. That's always the same. It's always FIT online. So I copy that one. And I paste it in here in the key field. There's always a shared secret link, and that goes in the secret field. So I click on that one, and then I paste it in the secret area. And then the custom parameters is the last thing you're going to put in this large field, and it's always public_key, and that's the one that you're going to copy. And that's the one that you're going to paste here. You can choose whether or not you want to enable evaluation, and I do. As I said before, it's not integrated into Blackboard, but it is what gives you the option to assign a grade of 1 to 100 for each item that a student posts. So I'm going to choose yes. I'm going to give it 100 points. Visible to students, that's your choice. I always say yes. If you want to give it a due date, great. Mine is due at the end of the semester, but they have interim deadlines due. And then you just hit submit. So once you do that, then this is my test Padlet. If I open it up,
voila.
Voila, this is what my students are going to see. Right?
That's what I'm going to be doing.
Yeah, and then, right.
Good.
And then
Excellent.
again, you can see, because I assigned grading and I gave the students visibility, here, if the student added this content, I could go in here and I could choose the grade that I want to assign it. Of course, it's perfect. I'm going to give it 100. And you're done. You can add a comment underneath that if you want to. You can also make a choice when you build your Padlet whether you want the newest information to be at the top or at the bottom. I tend to put mine at the top so I can see it more quickly. Yeah. But again, that's something that you can do when you do some customization on your own.
Can you grade on this at all?
I do. Again, you can't. It doesn't. Yeah, I mean, here you can see if you make it a gradable item. Here's my. I gave it you can give it a score of 0 to 100, and then you click on the drop-down menu and you can assign whatever grade you gave the student. Right. And then if I say that's cool, I can go in here and I can say this looks great. Or
I guess what I'm asking is, like, if they submit, I know that there's these, like, get bigger, right? So, like, if you open something up more here, can you annotate on their work at all?
I don't believe so. So if I want to explode this.
Right. And you want to say, oh, this looks, I guess it's not even that relevant for this course, but if for Padlet in general, if you wanted to say, oh, I think that yellow color should be 3 down below with the next row, like, is there a way to annotate, or not really?
Not in Padlet, but
a static doc.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you know what? Sorry, go Naomi. I was gonna.
But I just want to add. I just finished watching the whole series of ScreencastOMatic video tutorials. And what you could absolutely do is you could add a piece and you could create a video around something you blow out that you could actually annotate super, super easily in ScreencastOMatic.
Yeah,
Just as a thought.
that's another step, and then another thing for the student to link on top. You know, it just gets to be a lot.
Yeah.
But I think you could take a video in Padlet, though. You could take a video right there in Padlet.
Right. You can, yeah. But one thing I wanted to add, though, that Naomi does that's really amazing, and what adds so much to this assignment is that since Naomi created a one-to-one, you know, each student is going to have their own Padlet that Naomi it's a one-to-one relationship between the professor and the student. And what Naomi does, which I love, is that as she's going through each student's work, she critiques right here on the Padlet itself, and she leaves notes for each student, specific notes, right? Because now remember, Naomi can see each student, and only Naomi can see that specific student's work. And so what Naomi does is, as the students are submitting work, as is scaffolded here, how she has scaffolded every shelf or every column, she then leaves remark, which I think is amazing.
Yeah, this is really helpful because if I have 3 iterations of one project, I could see all 3 iterations right on their one Padlet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's what I do. Sometimes I'll have students, if something's really funky, I'll have them do an update and I'll have them add it. And then when we get to the very end of the semester, since the intent of this is for them to have a really great repository of stuff, I say to them, okay, I give them access to delete the old stuff so that their finished Padlet, if they connect it to their LinkedIn profile or resume, is really in pristine condition.
So they have a clean copy.
So let me get straight. The trouble is, like, you must have a ton of Padlets under your name for your students, right?
I do.
If you're doing a lot of classes and a lot of different assignments in one class, man, you have a lot of Padlets floating around in your class.
Yeah, that's why I create the folders in Padlet where I can actually segregate groups of Padlets based on the course and the section. So I don't look at my full repository of Padlets once I've moved my students' individual ones into the folder. They will automatically come up with the newest ones first, so it makes it easy to move them at the beginning of the semester, and I don't really have to worry about them again.
Right. Another thing I want to add to that Naomi does is really awesome by adding the grading to each of these columns. It's almost like a rubric, right? And so as Naomi is grading these columns and adding a grade, it's almost like a rubric. Like, let's say, okay, this part they did pretty well, you get a score, but you know that grade is not transferring over to the full grade center. But it helps Naomi keep track of the work that's being done by the student. By, you know, whenever she enters a grade there, you can. It's a big project. This is a big semester-long project, but the way that she's keeping track is by adding those grades in there, and you know, this is a mark for her knowing that, okay, I covered this, or this student already did this part, moving on to the next, or this is missing, and it makes your life so much easier, which I think is fabulous.
Right. Well, I mean, I do have grading components for this case study. What I do, just to simplify it for myself, sort of to Jose's point, I just weigh each one of the requirements for each week or each learning unit the same during the course of the semester. So if there were 5 columns that they had to add content to, they totally missed submitting for one of them, like they didn't do the company research piece, they get dinged for that 20%. So I'll post, you know, the overall grade for those items, and then again at the end of the semester they have one final time to really do revisions. It doesn't dismiss the grades that they got earlier in the semester, but it does give them an opportunity to have a final grade of the series of grades that's hopefully 100. Because they've made the corrections that they needed to, and they've updated stuff. And I can see pretty quickly just from eyeballing it whether they did the updates that I suggested to them.
And that's Naomi? The term project, right, Naomi?
Yeah. Yeah.
So you're using this basically as a formative tool, and that's more of a summative tool. So this is along the way, and they have the opportunity to change it, and then they're submitting the final presentation with a partner and so on.
Right.
All right. So I guess my question is, I'm sorry, Karen, I interrupted you. Go ahead, you had a question.
Yeah, I just had a question about the preliminary to this great project, which this is fabulous, Naomi. Thank you for sharing this.
Sure.
Do you find that the students need any kind of link to understand how to use Padlet, or they figure it out on their own, or how do you handle that part of it?
You know, I do an introductory video for the introductory Padlet, and
Yeah.
you know, once they do that, they're good. You know,
Yeah.
they don't have an issue.
I was going to ask if, Jose, if you had one on, there you go. No, not instructor, student.
Oh, the student, yeah.
Students,
Yeah, I have the student one too.
Collaborate was a year, and some of them still didn't know how to use it properly. So
Right.
if they I always embed that right into, for the last year and a half, I embedded it right into my Blackboard courses for students. They couldn't get to anything without passing it. I did it with HTML, so I was like, I'm a video. They knew. I would love that
Right.
one if you have it, because
Yeah,
that's where the biggest concern.
I have one. I'm going to post it, but the one I'm going to post is kind of, I'll post it and you guys can watch it if you feel like it works for you, your class, then use it. But I should make another one. But yeah.
I think that should be your summer project.
Many. One of many goals.
You owe me, Jose. I helped you so much throughout last year. You know you owe me.
I owe you. I owe you.
You know you do. I have another question, Naomi. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. I get the middle.
Yeah.
It's the beginning and the end on this. So I understand Padlet, how to link it, how students can get notified. I understand your grading. It sits in Padlet. Explain how it links back to Blackboard, please, one more time. I understand you're doing yes, no, pass, fail, 100 or 0 for the grading. I got all that. What's the mechanics of the, what's that dreaded Gradebook thing called? Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, if you go into, let me just go back.
Do you just set up a column and then manually go, okay, Susie got 100, and now I just give Susie a check? So there's no.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So
I see it in there. I mean, I can give them a grade, a real grade, which I do.
Get what you don't know. Yeah.
Yeah.
You do in the thing, but not on Blackboard.
Right.
So you give it to them, give them a chance to say, hey, you missed this, fix it for the final, but you did the work, it was on time, so I'm giving you full credit, you're getting 100. Yeah, I love that. It puts less pressure on you also to like get it all done that week. You can like go back and forth throughout a period with them to not make it so cut and dry. Today's the day, yeah. So you just then have to by hand go into the Gradebook for every student every week on this and check off whether they've done it or not. Okay.
Yeah.
I know, but we're also doing homework and we're also doing Excel. It's a lot every week. It gets to be a lot. I don't want to kill myself. I mean, I don't mind grading, but I want it to be useful.
Yeah.
And this is where deadlines are important, right? So if you say, okay, this part of the Padlet is due by such date,
right,
and you wait till that day to actually go through that, so you're not constantly checking many times before the due date. That routine, setting up a routine where you're just checking, on the due date, and then anything that comes in after that due date, Padlet does timestamp these submissions, so that so that kind of helps creating a routine for yourself based on the deadlines, so that you're not constantly checking the student submissions.
I'm good with the routine, Jose. Don't you worry.
The other thing that I've done in the past, which I found really useful, I did this last summer, was you can download a Padlet into an Excel file, because that's really what it is. You can also download the Padlet as a PDF file. So in a way, it's not that pretty, but students can kind of create a little bit of a book of their Padlet. Sometimes what I find useful is when I'm doing a regular discussion forum using Padlet, sometimes when I hit the deadline, I'll actually download the Padlet as a PDF file, and I know this is not good for the trees, but I'll print it. And I'll actually go through it, because it's got the timestamps on it, so you know, did the students meet the interim deadline for an online course? And secondly, did they submit as often as they were supposed to? And then also for content, did they use APA formatting? Did they answer the questions? So I personally, I know that's not very sustainability oriented. I don't do it that often, but I will sometimes do that.
So what about Excel documents? They're submitting some Excel documents to this. You can't check formulas. You can't check because it's not a link. It's a screen
yes
grab.
and no. Yes and no. Because if you have them attach an Excel file, you can download it, which I love. What I do have them do is I have them, this may not pertain to anybody but me and Phyllis, but I do have them submit their Excel work for the case study in a separate Dropbox, and I'll review it, give them feedback, and have them make the changes and adjustments, correct it, have them capture a screenshot of their Excel, one of the Excel examples for that particular math problem, but I won't have them submit the full-blown Excel workbook until the very end of the semester.
Yeah, you had said that in our training, Naomi. My apologies. Yeah. It makes sense now. I wasn't making all the
It was a lot. It was a lot.
And to add to what Naomi said,
you know, online, that's more, you're spending that time doing that. When you're, I think when it's a face-to-face, I don't know, that gets, I just, honestly, to download 27 Excel sheets on my hardware probably would take an hour and a half, you know, just to download them. I have an old computer right now, so that I mean, I had trouble just logging on today, so I'm just a little.
I mean, I can show you. Yeah, I can show you what so here's my completed Padlet.
Right.
And this last item is actually a full Excel workbook. So if I click on it, it kind of brings it up to me in sort of this weird, I mean, you can see it really clearly. You can, you know, cursor through every single spreadsheet. You can't, yes, it's true, you can't see the formula. But you can also download it.
Right.
And
I think that's at the end. That of course, but I would like to be, I don't want to wait to the end to tell them they've been using the wrong formula for markup since week 2. That's my, you know what I'm saying? So I want to make sure you're getting the math is right, the analysis is right.
Yeah, I mean, the possible solution to that is to have them hit Control tilde, and that'll expose all the formulas in their spreadsheet. And they can capture that as a screenshot along with the Excel spreadsheet.
Then I'm looking for M4. You know, I'm used to highlighting and putting my cursor on it. You can quickly check formulas that way when it's live, as opposed to a screenshot.
The one thing is that, you know, once you're sort of in the rhythm of the Excel spreadsheet, you kind of know pretty quickly what the cell references are. At least that's what I find.
Yeah, so you're probably right. You get used to it, and after 10 students, you're like, yep, that's not it. That's not it. Yeah, no, I know. When it's something you've done over and over, of course, So, but it's okay. Thank you. I'm sorry, everybody else.
Yeah. Does anybody have any other questions that are not FM203 related?
Well, I just want to say that you know, as more faculty are using Padlet, I see the assignments evolving. I saw the other day the professor who was excited and telling me, "Hey, Jose, I finally used Padlet, and I had my students create their the icebreaker introductions as TikTok videos, and then they put the TikTok videos in Padlet." I was like, "Oh my gosh, this is to get those two to work together, because it's like, oh, if my parents are using TikTok, I don't want to use, it's like that kind of thing. It's like you're combining a social media thing with education. It's like, oh, we can't mix the two. But I was surprised to hear how much fun they had with that. So it's interesting.
Yeah, and I give them that option, for the introductions. I say, I'm giving you text here, but please feel free to create a video. You don't have to write what you want to say. You can certainly make video content and upload it.
And this goes back again to the first question I asked you, Naomi. It's just like, come as a professor new to Padlet, knowing that you can go so many different directions. You have something in mind, you go into Padlet, and now you're blown away. Now the whole assignment changes because now you realize, hey, I can do, instead of just having students write a text response, I can actually now have them, okay, throw in a picture of you, what do you love to do, record an audio response of your voice, so I can hear how you sound like, and it's a little bit more humanized experience. So then it goes from there, it just dramatically changes the whole approach, and that could be a little bit overwhelming to some who haven't used it. So I always recommend play with it first before you figure out what are all the features, play with it, think outside the box. Don't just conform to that thinking that one way where, oh, well, I'm just going to have the students tell me 5 things about themselves as an icebreaker. I had a professor, Pilar, she's another heavy user, Naomi, and she teaches, and I always use your example, and I always use hers as exemplary. Yeah. And she does it in her Spanish course, modern language, and then she has an assignment where she asks students to choose a Spanish-speaking country. And then, just like how you did, she scaffolds it, right? And so here, put in a map of the country. The second column is, now tell me what's the traditional clothing, costumes. Now tell me the food, the traditional food. And so it goes on as it's being scaffolded, each one is a column. And at the end, then she has the students write a little summary about the country, and then in Spanish, and she corrects them within the Padlet. She corrects the grammar there. And then the last piece is a video or an audio recording of the student in Spanish speaking about the country. Yeah. So these are ways that you can it's all about the scaffolding, right? You break it up into pieces and make it easy in chunks, like we talked about in the Video Maker series, right? We're chunking things. Yeah. And it's really up to you to come up with creative ideas, and Padlet, I think it's just so flexible. Just what you showed us right now, Naomi, about dropping in an Excel document into a Padlet. And just to be able to see that you can actually jump from cell to cell, and we're not even opening Microsoft Excel. This is all in Padlet, which blew me away too when I saw you did that. So it's all about how you see it.
Yeah. Ultimately, my graduating seniors, one group did their final project in Padlet. So they put all of their report in there as a Google Doc link. They put their voice thread in there, which was their collaboration tool where they did their presentation. They put all of their Excel work in there. They had image links. They had screenshots of their presentation talking about what was great and what was weak, and what they wanted to go forward with in terms of product. It was they did an amazing job, and I did not give them any direction. They asked me, can we put our whole final project in Padlet? I was like, absolutely, sure.
Another thing that you did, Naomi, that I love too, was that you had your students, instead of sitting in front of the computer the whole semester, you had them go into the Gap or whatever the retailer was, and you had them go into the actual physical store, take a picture with their phone, and take that picture and put it in the Padlet. There's actually footwork here. You actually have to go to the store. Right. I thought that was like experiential learning. You actually want them to do the hands-on work, and I thought that was amazing too, what you did.
Yeah, we'll see how well that works in the fall and how much access people have. I'm not going to require it this fall, so I think we make it with the web, and if they have access to the physical store, icing on the cake.
We'll see.
Yeah.
So any other questions for Naomi while we still have her? This is all being recorded, which is great because then we can post it later for those who missed it. Because I think this has been awesome to have you here, Naomi.
Thanks. It's fun.
See how
All right,
quiet
well-
it is when I'm not talking? Oh, Naomi, I'm sorry, but I just went back to my course shell and our 203 training, and it makes so much more sense now. Thank you so much.
Good.
Yeah,
Good.
I'm like, okay. Yeah, really good. No, and I could open the link, and I saw the drop. I came 10 minutes late. I'm sorry, everybody. Yeah,
Okay.
It was recorded. You can always go back and watch it, so don't worry.
I'm not watching
Phyllis.
recording. I take good notes. I'm a note taker.
Oh, wait. We have Martin. Martin, do you have any questions? You've been quiet, Martin. He's turning on his mic. I see his mic turned on. No?
What do you teach, Karen?
I teach fashion design art.
Yeah, I'm sure this could have some great applications for you.
Yeah, I actually, in second semester, they do a project that without all the Excel spreadsheets and analyzing different, moderately priced companies, and then they do designs for them. This would be perfect for that. But thank you, Naomi.
Yeah,
You're
I
welcome.
think any semester-long project. I wonder if we'll use it in the new 225 also. It'll be interesting.
No,
to
I
see
don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
No, I'll wait and see.
All right. Well, thank you,
All right.
everybody. This is fun.
Well, Naomi,
Thanks
thanks
for
again for doing
hosting.
this.
Thank you.
Oh, no, you're
Thanks,
yeah,
Naomi.
thank you for taking the time and for coming. I always appreciate it. So
Thank you.
enjoy the summer, everyone.
Thank you,
You too.
everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Jose,
Bye.
Jose, can you
Yep,
call me?
yep.
Can you call me?